Good afternoon, everyone. We're just going to give it a minute to let everyone join in. Okay, so I can see that everyone is now coming back from the yoga break. So I think I'll start my welcome remarks, and by the time everyone gets in, we should be ready for the panel. So welcome back, everyone. I hope you all enjoyed that lovely yoga break and feel ready to conquer the second half of the conference. I am very excited for this next session. We have invited back 4 exceptional alumni to talk about their career journey and provide advice and tips on how to start your career journey in Canada. If you have any questions for the panelists, please type it in the chat at any time throughout the presentation. We will try our very best to get through them all. To get started, I would like to invite our moderators to the stage, Megan Kashti, Alumni Manager, and Elena Sheik, Associate Director for International Services, as well as our 4 panelists, Tailindo, Shubham, Aggarwal, Jason Ross, and Sunana Venkash. Welcome, everyone.
Thanks, Alicia. So as Alicia said, my name is Megan Kashti, and I am the Alumni Manager here at Sheridan.
And I'm Elena Sheik, Associate Director of International Services, and absolutely delighted to be here today.
Yeah, we're so excited. Like, this is such an exceptional group, and so excited to hear about your experiences and sort of your insights. And I know we're all eager to get started with this session and that the hour is going to fly by. So let's just jump into it. As Alicia said, over the course of the next hour, if you have any questions, please put them in the chat and we'll be sure to try to get to them at the end. But to kick off things, I'll ask sort of the panel generally, can you each take a couple of minutes to introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about what brought you to Sheridan, and then your journey from Sheridan to where you are now. So Tail, would you mind kicking things off for us?
Sure. It's so nice to be here. Thank you for having me. My name is Tailindo, pronounced as she, her, and I moved to Canada in 2014 from the Czech Republic to study animation at college, of course, because it's such a well-known program and I really wanted to join like a tribe of people. But I stayed here after graduation and I worked for House of Cool, which is a local Toronto company. And for the past 2 years, I've been working with Netflix Animation to work on their feature films. And I'm in the middle of actually moving to the US right now to join the studio in person because I'm done with work from home. But yes, that's where I'm at so far. Thank you.
Jason, do you want to go next?
Sure, it's all right with everyone. Hey everyone, my name is Jason. I did my electrical engineering technician program 2 years in 2017 to 2019. I actually found out about Sheridan going to a college fair back home in my country, and I'm from the Caribbean. So coming to Canada and visiting you guys in the cold was a definite difference for sure. Once I graduated from there, I was fortunate enough to do some networking skills, got through with the apprenticeship as an electrical apprentice. Did a few odd jobs here and there, and now I'm currently working at the TTC as an apprentice there as well.
Sunana, would you like to go next?
My audio is better than when we started. So hello everyone, I'm Sunana Venkash. I'm a graduate of the Advertising and Marketing Communications program at Sheridan, class of 2015. I moved to Canada in 2012, so it's been almost 11 years now and zero regrets. Since graduating, I have been working as a graphic designer I'm currently a senior graphic designer at Marks, where I primarily work in the branding and packaging design side of things. I actually started out as a creative intern at an advertising agency before moving over to the design studio side of things, where I have worked my way up to where I am today. I'm both excited and very honored to be here. I know you're all very eager to know more about life after graduation, and hopefully we can help answer some of your questions. Thank you.
But not least, Shubham.
Thank you, Meg. Hi, everyone. My name is Shubham Aggarwal. I'm the Vice President of Creative POS. It's a small company based in Mississauga. I joined this company in 2015 when I completed computer engineering technician from Sheridan College. I came to Canada in 2013. So in Creative POS, it's been 8 years for me. I joined this company as just an employee, but now I'm a vice president. It was like a small company, but now me with my colleagues and my partner, we were able to make it as a multi-million-dollar company.
Thank you kindly for your introductions. So I'm going to get started with, I guess, the first official question. And this question is for Sanana and Tail. What experiences proved to be most beneficial to you in successfully landing your first professional job after graduation? And looking back, is there anything that you would have done differently?
So I think something that I really benefited from my time at Sheridan was finding opportunities outside of the classroom. I participated in a lot of competitions, attended networking events, and volunteered at both school and industry events. And it was a really great way for me to just be exposed to a larger group of people with just a lot of different backgrounds. I actually managed to get my first real internship by participating in a case study competition where the winning team won an internship within an agency. And that was just a really great way for me to get my foot into the door. And honestly, looking back, I don't think there's anything I would have done differently. So.
Yes. In my case, it was really the result of my internship in third year. I had spent my fourth year focusing my portfolio towards more feature studios, and that meant that in terms of industry day, I think it wasn't that suitable for local studios, but it just so happened that I interned with a certain storyboarding studio in Toronto that did do feature projects. So they just kind of scooped me right after school, and also just getting job offers from overseas, from overseas studios. So that was there was this contrast between there not being much pull from the local side, but I think because I just geared my portfolio towards more international productions, it just kind of worked out. Mm-hmm. And I guess the other thing would be kind of related to what I said, but leading with this sort of job you wanted to do before you even get hired can really help. Instead of catering portfolio to the what you think is safe, just go for what you want, and that'll give you a higher chance that you'll attract the job that you're interested in. It's not a very complicated calculation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. If you don't mind, I'd love to know for Taylor and Sanana, just a very quick follow-up to that. Did what your ambitions of the job you were looking for change much while you were at Sheridan and even the year since, or have you kind of had the same focus throughout? I think some attendees here might it might be helpful to know sort of if you kind of had to adjust or change course at all.
I think for me, it did change a lot. So I went to school for advertising. I had a little bit of background in advertising as well as graphic design. But I think after I entered the advertising world, I kind of felt like it wasn't the right fit for me. And that's why I kind of moved over to the more pure design side of things. So technically not so related to what I did at Sheridan, but there's still a lot of things that I learned at Sheridan in like my course that still help me today as a graphic designer. So it's not like it was a complete loss. I definitely have to do a lot of learning some skills in there. So
I went kind of the opposite direction, where I think I just never changed my mind and just kind of almost in a not very productive way, just kind of stubbornly followed one path and, just kept going. And even if it took a few years after school, I think it's just because I was too lazy to think of a different way to go. But it did allow me to keep like stacking up, knowledge and also just experiences in networking towards like that one position. Yeah.
I just want to say that not lazy, that's dedication.
Yes.
You took the words out of my mouth. I was going to go with like determination, but I think like same path. I think it's good to know what you want and go for it. Our next question is for Shubham. Do you have any tips for students who want to stand out in their job applications and interviews, and just sort of some advice on general interaction with prospective employers?
Sure. I mean, I just want to tell something in generic and before you even reach to that interview stage, because I feel like I get so many resumes and cover letters from as an employer, and then so I want to tell everybody that it's very important that it's not just like a generic resume or generic cover letter. It has to be related to the position. You have to understand it's a job that you're applying for. So this might be your job of the dream, right? So you want to make sure that you prepare for it, right? Other than that, also word of mouth networking is very important. So talk to your colleague, talk to your friends who is in this field, who you wants to get that job for, and then go that way. Also, you have to be proactive, because a lot of employers, a small company specifically, they might not have chance to go through resumes and all that. But if I hear from somebody, okay, well, there's this student from Sheridan College, he's really good at what he's doing and stuff like that, then, or it came from LinkedIn on somewhere, then I would definitely consider that more than reading through tons of resumes. So that's important. So be proactive, right? Talk to people, email, go to LinkedIn, right? That's what you want to do. Also, you want to make sure for the interview day, you have to practice. You know what you're doing, research for the company, right? What are your skills? What are your accomplishments that can be beneficial for the company? And then last but not least, you have to demonstrate your passion. So some point I agree with Tail when she said that do what you like to do. So basically you would reach where you want to, but then again, it might work for some people, but it might work for other, as like Sunil said, right? So if you really like to do something, then do it passionately, and then you would reach what you want to do for sure.
Those are some really great tips. This is why you have to join live to make sure that you get an opportunity to hear firsthand from our successful alums. So my next question is for Tail and Jason. In your opinion, what part did networking, mentorship, and allyship play in your career journey? And how can students and recent graduates who don't have extensive network find a mentor or an ally? Is there any tips that you would have for networking that you could share with us?
Oh, yes. I would say it's pretty much like everything in my case. The projects that I wish to work on were overseas. And so if you're not in the country, and in my case, the USA, being online and figuring out the temperature, of the industry, I think was a very important skill to have. I think my main recommendation would be to understand the priorities that are unique to your industry. I would put an example like with portfolios. In graphic design, it's very important, right? How the web page looks like. A lot of people put a lot of effort into the flair. But in animation, recruiters actually don't want that flair at all. They want like very simple, they just want to get to the content as soon as possible. And so if the sequences are buried under like 5 levels of pages, right, it's no good. But things like that, it's hard to understand unless you do good research. And the other thing would just be related to what I said, like whatever you love, put it forward, put it out there online, and find your tribe, whether it's through online courses or online communities. These days, it is possible to kind of connect a little bit closer to the, the region that you want if you just find the right place online. But it's a combination of having this like holistic mind approach, but I think also that sincerity, like it's hard to compete with someone who's having fun, in my opinion. So kind of finding that for yourself first before you start like offering some sort of value to others, I feel like that's probably the right order to do it. And yeah, so that's my 5 cents. All right, to Jason.
Well, for me, it's a little bit more different, seeing as I'm in the electrical trade. For me, when I was in school, I had a lot of opportunities to work on projects with Sheridan. Excuse me. I was fortunate enough to work with one of their Earth Day programs where I was in the process of helping building a solar trainer for the students, showing them how the solar panel works and all the intricacies within the panel itself and everything. So it was more of a learning tool to pass on to my future alumni, you guys and stuff. With that, the teachers who, incidentally, which I love about the fact with Sheridan, and the teachers are actually also, they have their other jobs. So they're connected to the technology that they're doing. So for instance, I'm in the electrical field. These guys have contractors. They know what's going on with the real world right now. They keep in tune with, up to date with all the technology and everything. And with that being said, they also have an ear to the ground as regards to like, hey, is this guy any good? I'm looking for somebody. If he's doing well in school, I would try him out. That's how it worked for me. They saw the potential in me, and I was fortunate enough to even do little summer jobs with some of them to get that experience, because let's face it, with regards to their resume, they're always going to look for experience. And if you can get some from Sheridan with regards to whether it's working in the shop, which is what I did, that was a plus definitely to have. Working in the campus. I mean, if you don't get it in campus, you can still do it as a summer job and still put that as experience as well. Yeah, with the networking aspect of it too. Yeah, LinkedIn was a very big help when Sheridan had those shops as well. They gave you the key help pointers as to what to put in your resume and stuff. And even showcasing yourself, basically show off what you do. It's just like what guys do. Well, shouldn't say guys, sorry, more like everyone does on Instagram and TikTok. They send little videos of, this is what I did, this is what I've done, I've wired this whole house, I did this, show off your talent. Don't be afraid to show it. Somebody is looking out there, without a doubt. And as Shubham quite rightly said too, I mean, yes, you have to put key things in your resume, but if I hear from someone that, this guy is really good or he's a hard worker, that makes a world of difference outside there. We're definitely looking for those kind of characteristics for sure. In the field of electrical, it can be a bit daunting at times. Excuse me. With regards to, you don't get the perfect job right away, this job doesn't pay well, it's not what you want it to be. Don't let that discourage you. I would tell you, you just got to keep pushing through. That is just going to build you up even more to realize that when you do get your job, you're going to be grateful for what you have, and realize, honestly, guys, you guys you came to a foreign country and you graduated from Sheridan. That is an accomplishment in itself. So don't second guess yourselves at all. That's my 2 cents.
I love that. I think it's very important to pat yourself on the back for things that you have accomplished thus far. And I think, it really propels you forward and allows you to stay positive and bring that positivity to your interviews and to your experiences in the employment market as well. Thank you.
Yeah, and I could see, Taylor, when you were chatting about, finding something that's fun, I could see nods across the panel, and same with what you were saying to Jason about, how far a reputation can go. And if someone recognizes you as a hard worker and, even that you're easy to get along with and is able to pass that along, that's so important as well. So I could see lots of nods of agreement sort of across the panel while you guys were chatting. For our next question, this is for everyone, so anyone can feel free to unmute and jump in first. I'm hoping you can each share a story or two about roadblocks or unexpected situations you may have encountered as a new grad, and maybe some how you overcame them.
Happy to go first.
Oh, go ahead.
So actually, there's a particular story that comes to mind for me with this question. I remember interviewing for a junior art director position at an advertising agency, and I got the dreaded, "So what are your salary expectations?" question. And let's just say I really overshot, and my interviewer was like visibly offended. And suffice to say, I didn't get the job. And it was obviously very upsetting in the moment, but it did teach me the importance of doing your homework when it comes to salary ranges, like so know what's happening in the current market and know how you stack up to that. But I think it's also important to know what you're worth and to not lowball yourself. Especially if you're a woman or a person of color. So that's
I not sure if Shubham wants to go next or
Okay, I was not sure either.
go first.
Okay, thank you. So I just wanted to say, this is very common that I've seen is one thing that we do as new grads, and then specifically when you're an international student, is underestimate yourself. So we want to apply for a job, but we just think, okay, no, we won't get that, or this won't work for me. So don't get scared. We are good. That's why we came to a country. We want to prove ourselves. So just go out there and do apply for it. And that's first thing. And second thing is, the first job that you're gonna apply, you're not gonna get it. So don't get disheartened because of it, right? You have to apply for jobs, like 10 jobs, 20 jobs, 100 jobs, and then you would get what you're looking for. So those are the two things that I got, and I'm pretty sure a lot of us got that. And then, so just don't get disheartened and just be yourself. That's what it is.
Shubham's totally right. Like, I think it's the times when I remember, oh my God, like we've made it so far. I've crossed the ocean to get here. Like remembering that really fires me up with that determination that, I think I can go a little bit further and like put in that little bit of extra effort because we paid for all this, right? Even down to the chance to live in this country, like all of that was like our own choice, right? So I don't know, it's there's something empowering about just remembering that yeah. But sorry, that was not advice. That was just me agreeing with Shubham. But I guess on the way, if you ever, because we're working hard, right, and trying to improve and trying to find a way to break through, in my case, I found a moment where I found kind of like a limit of my abilities, clearly on a medical diagnosis paper. I got like something that told me, hey, like this thing maybe isn't the best thing for you. And so not to go too deep into it, but finding out that I think my visual memory was like quite impaired, which is a problem when you're an artist, right? And I just, for a day, I was a little bit shocked, but then the next day, I realized that this is actually really awesome, because how often do you get a manual basically to your own brain, right? Like that's such a lucky thing. Like constraints can sometimes be such a great direction giver, that I think when I started leaning into it more and leaning into my constraints, like into my limitations, is when unique and new solutions like finally started like working for me, because I stopped being ashamed for going the path, taking the path that nobody else is taking, because I understood that with my constraints, like it just makes the most sense. Like if you're a person who has lost their legs, like it doesn't make sense, right, to try and go up the stairs, you know. It makes more sense to find a new way. And when I found that, when I did that, a lot of I would meet a lot of people who would benefit from the same approach, but they just had never had the chance to take that path, right? I think in a way that like receiving that limit has become an advantage, essentially, is what I'm trying to say. So if you ever like encounter that situation, you know, I hope that you'll try to find kind of your own unique way of getting through it, or that it will allow you to find that unique way. Yeah. Hope that made sense.
No, I love that. I love that. And I think it's, you know, important to remember too, especially for our graduating students, that you don't also need to compare yourself to what your peers are doing, that you're carving out your own journey and are going to find what works for you, and you're going to get there in a way that works for you too. So to not try and, you know, follow a template of what's been done before, because you do need to find your own way up the stairs, if you will.
Thank you.
Yeah, I love that comment about using your constraints to define your next roadmap, and you know, using it as an advantage in a sorts. There's always two ways of looking at things and what happens within your life, and you have to always spin it around to see how it can be utilized to your advantage.
I just figured that the latter is probably more just productive and a happy place. It is, you know, not to sound all like it's always positive, right? But I think even if it's like a little bit of coping, taking like the positive way, it's just from my personal experience, letting myself like cope a little bit actually has led to really great outcomes. So I would just encourage anyone who does encounter that to not lose heart immediately, and to try a little bit more. And there just might be something that might surprise you if you keep going.
Those are great words, Taylor, and I think it's very important to reflect, you know, as folks progress through their journeys and move on to the next stage and a very exciting life after graduation. I think it's important to reflect on the journey that has taken them this far and all the things that have happened. And I think it's, you know, we often forget some of the struggles and some of the very interesting moments that we've had through the years. But I think, you know, reflection always makes you think, oh, I've actually accomplished quite a bit. And, you know, on those days that you do require some coping mechanisms, it's also important to take the time for reflection. So thank you. So next question I'd like to ask Jason. So while your family currently lives with you in the GTA, from what we understand, you initially had to leave them in Trinidad and Tobago when you first came to Canada to pursue your education as a mature student. So can you tell us a little bit about the decision-making process and why you decided that coming to Canada was the right decision for you and your family?
Oh boy, do you have enough time? I wonder. So it started back way before that decision with regards to, there was a college fair actually in my country, and a college fair for the North Americas. They didn't have anything saying, you know, just come and see what we're about, see what we're offering, this sort of stuff. The education system back home is pretty good. However, they're not that in depth as I would like it to be. And the Americas definitely had that opportunity. So we just said, you know what, let's go check it out, see what's available, this kind of thing. And I actually spoke to one of you fellow lovely Sheridan people, and they gave me the breakdown of everything with regards to how it's being done and everything. And for me, honestly, this was my second career. My first career was in petrochemicals. I mean, I was in a perfectly good job back home. My wife was a teacher back home as well, you know. So we were pretty comfortable, but honestly, I just didn't see the opportunities for my kids, and I've got 3. So I definitely wanted them to have a little more opportunity than I had when I was growing up, and I thought Canada would definitely give them that. So in the applying process, it was more feasible for me to go alone and pave the way for them. It was a bit difficult at first because when I got accepted by Sheridan, getting the application was a bit of a process, and I got denied, which was rather strange because once you have the application, you should be getting through. So that was a bit of a roadblock for me coming up and realizing that I spoke to the Sheridan person that spoke to me at the college fair, and they told me, well, listen, we have somebody that can help you with that and getting you your visa and stuff. So we could help you in that aspect. So I was like, great. And it was no effort after that. It was getting in there. They did it. It is tough being up here alone and your kids not here. Even after graduation, they did visit on vacation time and stuff, but it doesn't affect for having them here all the time, you know, coming home from work, actually seeing them every day and hugging your kids. It's a big difference. Then of course, COVID happened, and that was not the best time to be without your family, so to speak. So that was even tougher for me. It was a struggle at first, but you gotta really look at the end goal, what it is you're doing it for and why is it you're doing it. It was a fight for sure, no doubt. I honestly thought at times just giving up, me personally, but you know, talking with the family and stuff, and then realizing, you know what, if you don't keep pushing yourself, nobody's going to push you. You have to find the strength to get it through. And quite as I said before, where making the choice to come up here and graduating from the school, that's a big accomplishment in itself. To actually keep your head in the books and get your grades that you wanted. I actually graduated with honors, so it definitely paid off. And within going through that process too, I decided to go through the permanent residency route. While applying for it, I was like, you know what, I'd rather have the family here so I don't have to go through this by myself. So I applied for them through a work permit and study permit at the same time while I was still doing the residency. And ironically enough, while that was going through with the work permit, they got their papers to come up. When they landed, I got my papers to be resident. So they in turn got their papers to be resident at the same time. So it was quite rewarding in that sense. And I'm like, you know what, the sky's the limit now, really and truly. If you could push through that, you can push through COVID. I mean, that's nothing. That I think that sets up everybody who's been through it to be so much stronger. It's unbelievable. And yeah, with that, like I said, with the schooling that I did, the networking I did with the teachers and stuff, applying your resumes out there, sorry. Your resumes out there. I was even fortunate enough to link up with because I did the solar panel construction for Sheridan. I was actually, one of the teachers put me on to a solar company. That was my first gig. And that was a summer job. That wasn't my actual real job. Even though it was all the way in Cambridge, it was a 2-hour drive both ways just to go, but I wanted the experience. I definitely wanted to have that idea, and like I could say I did that, you know, have that under your belt for sure. From then onwards, it was sending out resumes again, and luckily enough, I got picked up by a lighting company. Stayed with them for a couple of years as well, you know, with regards to it. Being in the trades, yeah, you do have the qualifications and stuff, but it's showing yourself worth in the sense, like you said, somebody knows you, they can put in a good word for you or whatever the case may be. Also too, with regards in the trades, some of the companies will want you to do an aptitude test. It's just to see how competent you are, this kind of thing. That's standard, don't worry about it. It's nothing to be anything fearful of. It's pretty rudimentary as far as I'm concerned. They even have so many resources out there. I mean, you could try Sheridan Employment Services. They can help you as well. There's also a youth apprenticeship called Support Ontario Youth that helps with trade apprentices, that who guys have done it in trade, people who have done it in trade, sorry. what they will do is they will take you under their wing and actually mold you to help you along in getting hired by their companies, because they have a list of companies that are looking for workers. And believe you me, there are a lot of work out there. There is so much work, it's crazy. You just have to be willing to work. Once you're willing to work, you're, as far as I'm concerned, you're in. But that's just my interpretation of it. But yeah, once the kids and the family was up here, I didn't hold back anything. I just applied to everything I could think of. Even for TTC, that was through Indeed. They actually just had a posting on it. But mind you, you still had to do an aptitude test. And if you passed, you would sure to get contacted. If you passed, yes, you would be contacted, but you wasn't sure as to when you would start. So for instance, for me, when I did the test, it wasn't until 6 months after that I got the call that I got through. And I was already in another job already. So it's like, you really have to decide on what you want to, because I was in a really good paying job and I was with the TTC. So it was like balancing the scale, see what I wanted to do. But it's really what your heart is telling you and determination and stuff. For me, definitely in the transportation business and learning that the ins and outs of the cabling system, it was just a dream come true for me. I'm still in the process, like I said before, with the apprenticeship. So becoming an electrician. And at my age, I know, having kids and everything, don't get discouraged about it. Age is just a number. It's a true saying, you're only as young as you feel. Yeah, so I'm really content. I'm really happy. The kids love it. They're getting so much friends and enjoying the school. The only thing I would say is the kids are missing the snow. That's the only disagreement I have with my kids right now.
They're currently missing the snow?
Yes, they are.
They get used to it.
They've gotten used to it. I would say wait till you get older.
Yes, no, I think there's certainly wonderful advantages to having 4 seasons. It gives you something to look forward to. And I think at any age, but thank you so much for sharing that. That's a very long and complicated journey. And
I'm sorry about that.
No. And it I think it showcases just the intricacies of some of the struggles and the importance of also having your network, whether that's family or friends, and whether they're here in Canada or overseas. It's very important to have, as Tail said, your tribe, whether that has to do with your network within your industry or just someone to kind of guide you through it and tell you that you can do it and you're on your way. So thank you, Jason.
Thank you.
And Jason, I do have to share that, in the chat, we have an attendee, Sean, who just says hi from Trinidad and Tobago. So just to show, we've got some Sheridan students and folks tuning in from sort of all over the world. So yeah, I got a shout out from Sean there.
Yeah, well, if there's one thing I will say for my country, there's a saying back home, we're just like the ingredient salt, we in everything, we're everywhere.
Love it. So our next question, it's for Shubham, but I think, anyone on the panel can probably contribute to this as well. But Shubham, last year, Deepak Anand, MPP of Mississauga-Malton, awarded you with the Remarkable Citizen Award. So congratulations to you. I'm wondering if you can talk a bit about the work you did to earn that award and why you think it's important for international students and new grads to give back to their community. And the reason I say, if any of the other panelists have something to contribute is because obviously you guys are all here today as well. So we appreciate you sort of giving back to the Sheridan community too. But Shubham, I'll let you take it away.
Thank you so much, Meg. Yes, so I mean, it's not only important, I should say. I always say it's our responsibility or duty to give back to the community. Because I mean, this is a gift from our parents, from our ancestors, the world we are living in. I mean, we are happy to be in this world, but it's us all thanks to our elders, right? Who make this a living world, right? And then it's just a cycle of giving. So whatever we got, we have to make sure that it's in the same way for our future, right? So we want to make sure that we keep doing for our community whatever we can. It can be related to education, healthcare, or anything that we can think of, and that's why I feel it's really important. It promotes social responsibility so that it tells you, okay, you know what, we are responsible for the positive impact all over the world, whether it's positive or negative. So whatever small little thing that we are doing, it's going to impact the world. So let's do it towards the positivity of it. It definitely helps strengthen different communities. So whatever we do, it does not belong only to us, it belongs to everybody, right? So we have to make sure that it's good for everybody. It improves the quality of life, not for us, but for every individual that is there. And then that's the only reason it would be helpful for you in the personal growth for an individual too. So whenever we give back to the community, especially for me, whenever I feel I do anything for the community, I feel positive. I feel happy about it. Not only in terms of like the personal growth, but I can see the development. I develop different skills because of that. I talk to different people. I get chance to talk to different people from different part of the world, see different leaders, and definitely helps all over the thing. I was the past president of Rotaract Club of Brampton, which is a part of Rotary Club. What is Rotaract Club? It's a club that have youngsters exchange their ideas with the leaders of the community. And then it helps us develop different skills. It can be leadership skills and professional skills. And then what I say is, this is the fun way to help the community. That's what it is. So end of the day, it's just basically creating a positive cycle of giving. So whatever we give back to the community is whatever we're gonna get back. And also they're gonna be paying that forward to other people. So yeah, so that's basically what it is.
Can I dig a little bit deeper and just ask, what are some of the ways then that you were giving back to the community? Like, can you point to any sort of specifics that you did either on your own or through the Rotaract Club?
Through the Rotaract Club, we do different events. For example, I can give you a few examples from last year events. We did tree planting events. So we planted about 200 trees with Peel region, so that, different areas, different places. And then, so when we started this thing, many other people joined us too, many other Rotaractors joined us too. And then it went up having like 10,000 trees all over Canada, like something that we initiated very small, and then it went very big. We always have a mat making events from plastic bags, the small little thing, just like milk bags, we just throw them like that. And then there are people in different part of the world that do not have anything to sleep on. So what we decided is we're gonna make mats off of plastic, and then we donate them in different parts of the world. And we really got emails from some people when they got to know that it is through us, thanking us that, we used to be without any beds, without any mats, we didn't have any place to do, but they were giving us thanks for those things, that, okay, well, thank you for doing stuff like that. Other than that, we go to different community groups or regional groups. So during COVID time, we went to pharmacists, we went to nurses, and then give them like a token of thanks, shared them pizzas. Because they were at that time, they were just so frustrated. So they had so much in play, but they were not getting thanked enough. So we went specifically to certain groups. We went to a hospital in Brampton, and then had a pizza party there just for like thanking them for saving us from this big thing here. Other than that, me personally, I also make sure that I donate 1 month of my annual salary for something. So like that's my plea to everybody, so that this is something that I can do from my side. So like my 1 month's salary is always donated for something. Last year it was for cancer patients. A year before that it was for a cycle event, and for something. So that's basically a few things.
That's amazing. That's so inspirational. And I was loving what you were saying before too about sort of the work giving back to the community. It's like, it's not about us now, it's about sort of building for future generations. And I think we can all definitely take a page out of that book for sure. So thank you very much.
I think for the next question, I'd like to ask Tail. You're currently in a very unique process. So you're moving for a second time, and this time to the US. So can you please talk about a little bit about the challenges on the visa process and what your experience coming to Canada taught you that might be taking the second move a little easier for you?
Yes, I've been an immigrant pretty much since I was born. So this is all that experience built up for sure. But I would say that the main challenge with the O1 visa, which is the one I was aiming for after school, is that it's quite an opaque process. There's not much like advice online, especially for people in the animation industry. And this is where I would kind of connect to what Shubham was just talking about. Because I love just chatting with people in school about animation. I got to know a lot of people, but the person who actually gave me the advice to unlock this entire O1 process was a lower classman. It was someone who I connected with because just giving them some advice while I was at Sheridan in school, and this person ended up being just like amazing in the future. And so when I was looking for information and researching, they were able to provide me with some crucial like steps that I would say really were behind how this happened so quickly. And their advice was to hire a lawyer. Which I think, I don't know, like coming out of school, I just didn't think at that level yet. I thought this was going to be another like do the paperwork on your own. But doing so, following their advice was huge. And I think it's the main reason why we were able to finish the process in less than a year, which was faster than I expected. And if I could go back to my college days, I think my main advice would just because the O1 visa is merit-based, you have to prove, and this is official language in the visa, that you're an extraordinary person. Which how does that translate into evidence? So you have to like gather a lot of media achievements, like awards, like anything that puffs up the resume, right, makes you look important. And so if I could go back into my college days, I would not just be proactive about applying to those awards, which I did anyway because it's fun, but also about tracking the awards themselves, like having the paperwork filed in a system that's easily accessible, that I can pull out easily. It's dated. All the communication emails around it are like filed in one place, because I do feel like that is the main amount of work, is the back and forth with you and the lawyer, where you're sending them evidence, trying to find things that you did 8 years ago, like the email that proves this. It can really puff up the process. So if you are in school right now, and I'm sure anybody who's here is an international student, probably super overachieving, make sure that you start, maybe pick an app. I love Notion. I would recommend Notion for this, where you start filing them by date, everything. It will make your life so much easier. And then the last one also is just strategically picking your work after school, because if it has to be evidence eventually, there has to be some sort of like media around it, whether it means that the project should be complete by the time that you want to apply to the visa, or at least there's some press release about it. I think I got lucky that it just so happened that the projects I was on had that, but I could imagine a scenario where, if I worked on a feature that wouldn't be released for another 6 years, then we're kind of out of luck, right? So yeah, that's the few things I could think of.
That's some really great advice, and I think it applies regardless of where you're applying for a visa and what your next steps are. I think documentation and having a very good system for filing things is certainly a worthy task to master, for sure. Thank you.
Notion, take it. It's a great app.
I'll have to make a note of that one. Yeah.
Thanks, Tail. All right, before we move on to our next question, I just want to, highlight we're unfortunately coming to the end. We've got a little less than 10 minutes left. So if anyone does have any questions, please throw them in the chat and we're happy to get to them. But before that, the next question I have is for Sanana. So you've worked in several different design roles at high profile companies since you first graduated from Sheridan 8 years ago. I'm wondering if there's any advice you would give to your younger self about workplace culture in Canada, knowing what you know now?
I think the best advice that I could give my younger self, and maybe even everyone out here today, is to know the difference between wanting to fit in and truly belonging. I think as immigrants, we've all left behind a world of comfort and knowing, and we're plunged into this new world that can be kind of scary sometimes. And it's like we have this urgent need to fit in and to assimilate into this new culture. But I don't think that should come at the cost of losing yourself. So after graduating, I mentioned earlier that I initially started out in the creative department of an advertising agency. And while I was super grateful for the opportunity, I think after a couple of months in, I kind of felt like it wasn't the right fit. I didn't feel like the advertising people were my people. And that's when I decided to make the move and switch over to the pure design side of things. And that's when I'd say, to quote Tail, I found my tribe. And it's like, I felt like I could be my authentic self and I felt accepted for who I was. So I think that would be my biggest advice, is just find a place where you can be you and where you're not trying to mold yourself into something you think is expected.
Yeah, that's so important.
Thank you.
Well, I think I would like to ask a question from all of the panelists today, and that would be, what advice do you have for international students who are currently studying, or new international grads who are online with us today? Is there anything that you would like to share in terms of your words of wisdom?
There are going to be a lot of changes, it seems, in on the horizon. Disruptive changes, technology. I think overall, with also what has been happening in the world these days, there's just a lot of anxiety, right? So I kind of want to encourage anyone who's listening, it's okay if you're not all of it. You don't have to be all of it, even though these days it really feels like it. I think as the world is becoming more like overwhelming, it becomes so much more important, what Elena mentioned, self-reflecting and really understanding, what your own purpose is, what you want to do, what kind of value you want to put out there, because that's going to steel you against all the changes and the overwhelm of what it seems like the world wants you to do. And all you need to do is just one thing. You don't need to be all of it. If you just decide on one thing and consistently work at it, that's all you need to do. Because if we all take care of our own bubbles, the way that like Shubham, just plant trees around yourself, those individual bubbles will cover the entire world, right? But I think if we try to spread too thin, we won't even be able to do that, to cover that personal bubble. So it's okay to just stay there. That's how we were like meant to be as humans. Like, we're just animals. Just care about like your immediate surrounding and do your best. And I feel like that's my hope, at least for myself too. That's all we need to do. Yeah, throw it out to the other people.
That's great advice.
Yeah, that's great. Definitely, for sure, don't think too much of it. Don't go overly and thinking 10 years in the future, 5 years in the future. That's exactly like Taylor said, it'll overwhelm you. I look at it as knocking on each door. Start with one door first. Get to where you want to be, okay, you've graduated, that door's open, you're moved in, you're in Canada, that's another door, you're in. Just think about it like that. Go one step at a time. You start to go further down the road, you're gonna lose yourself. That's just my 2 cents.
Love it. One step at a time. Mhm.
Yeah, I think I totally agree. I think what Jason said, it's kind of like take it one day at a time. Like I know sometimes people talk about what's your 5-year plan, what's your 10-year plan, and that's just like too much. Like, just like what's your tomorrow plan? And I think that's more than enough. I'd say like my advice to everyone today is mainly just be patient and be kind to yourself. I think job hunting is hard. Job hunting as an immigrant is harder. So just be kind to yourself and try not to lose hope along the way. I think we've all said this. We've already taken this big step for us, like moving to a new country and starting over. So you're already halfway there. So just stay strong and
The best advice that I got from my mentor, he's a lecturer in Sheridan College. He once told me, what works for me doesn't mean would work for you. We all have different lives. We all have different paths. So even if you're listening to all this, but one thing that you realize that Suhaina have a different story, Taylor have different, and Jason have different, and me completely different. So we all have different paths. Definitely learn from everybody, but end of the day, be yourself. That's the most important thing, and that's the key to success. At least for me, I would say. And second important thing, which we did not say at all in the whole meeting, is very important. Most important thing is health. Whatever things would come and go, you have to be physically healthy and mentally healthy. Those are the two important things. Just keep that in mind.
At least try your best. We can't all be at top health, right? But sure, like whatever your like best, whatever version of your best is, to not forget that in the hustle.
I love that. And I think that's actually like a really important point if you guys are open and just to dive a little deeper on, when it came to, because Jason, you were mentioning it as well, like there are times where it was really hard and you sort of felt like giving up. Like if there's any advice you can provide to sort of, if a new grad or a student is feeling a little bit down, what tools did you guys use to sort of keep going and sort of keep that positive attitude?
Well, for me, it was easy as my kids, knowing what I could do for them. Definitely, if you have someone to talk to, I mean, any information that we can provide, Sheridan does a great job of that. I'm sure you guys have made friends along the way in school as well that you've somewhat connected on some level. You got to talk, you really do. And I've just recently learned that even more so now. So definitely don't be afraid to talk about it. Talk to somebody at least. It's going to help you mentally, as Shubham said. Mental health is a big part of it. You've got to. Your mind plays tricks on you and plays games on you, and that's why you don't want to go down that rabbit hole of looking at, as Sanya said, with regards to the 5-year plan and this kind of thing. Honestly, guys, it's really one day at a time. You don't know where you're going to be next year. You don't know where you're going to be. You know where you are tomorrow. You know where you may be this weekend. But come next month, can you really say where you're going to be? You know what I mean? You never know what's going to come up. There's always the unexpected things. And it's how you deal with it and how you cope with it is a big factor of it, I would say. But always remember, there's always somebody willing to listen. I mean, they'll just find someone. You can talk to someone. There's definitely that assistance out there. And that's one of the plus things I love about Canada too. They have the resources. Use the resources. Don't be afraid. People tend to be not people person, and I get that, but it takes time. But honestly and speaking, quite frankly, what we're doing here, this is a really above and beyond for Sheridan, I believe, to actually get that help that you guys could get here too. even talking to us, the panels and stuff, if you guys want to reach out, I'm sure between Alicia and Megan, they could, if anything in the field of that what we are in, and we can try and assist. That's the whole thing. It's all about family, regardless if you're not from the same family, but I still consider Sheridan a family.
We call it the Sheridan Mafia in animation.
There you go. I like that one even better.
Thank you. Well, I think, I can't believe it, but the hour has flown by, and unfortunately we have to end this, but I think that's a really wonderful note to end on, because, in our opening remarks, Sunand, our associate dean, mentioned that everyone here at Sheridan is eager to help. And I think you guys also made a really good point that I hope you, our wonderful panelists, as well as everyone in the audience today, does take a moment to just pause and pat yourself on the back that you've come so far and you've been so strong and done so much work. There's nothing you can't accomplish, right? And I think it's important to sort of take that moment and congratulate yourself. But I do want to thank you guys. Thank you, Jason, Tail, Shubham, Sanana. We really appreciate you taking the time to join us today. And thank you so much for sort of sharing your thoughts and insights. It was very inspirational, and it's going to be so beneficial to our students who are here today. So as we sort of wrap up this session, before we head out for our next break, I'd love to do another door prize for the folks that were in attendance today. So our winner is Madhumita Kannan. Congrats, Madhumita. The conference organizers will be in contact shortly. And up next, we do have a 10-minute break, maybe a good time again to sort of take a moment to reflect and pat yourself on the back. But you can also take this time to explore the event environment, download your swag bag, network with classmates, and finish your scavenger hunt, pardon me. All of those items can be found above in the navigation bar, and everyone who finds all 10 Brunos will be entered into a draw for a $100 Amazon gift card. So we will see everyone back here at 1:30 for the post-graduation work permit eligibility and next steps. Remember, to get there, all you need to do is click on the agenda tab. Enjoy your break. We'll see you back here at 1:30. And to our amazing panelists and grads, thank you again. Can't thank you enough.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for having us.